Hey there, it's Dave Altavilla for Hot Hardware here with the new Alienware x17 R2 17-inch gaming laptop. And wouldn't you know, it's powered by Intel's new 12th gen Core Series Alder Lake mobile processor platform, as well as NVIDIA's new GeForce RTX 3080 Ti under the hood, pushing the pixels for some serious gaming firepower. What do you say we take you on a hands-on first look next? All right, so let's get this big beauty unboxed real quick. You can see the setup here. Little slogan inside the box, we're game. I would hope so, Alienware, with this class of machine. Let's dig a little further here. Nice setup for the white Alienware space capsule, you might say, I guess, I don't know. Let's open this thing up. Little pull of the tab here, and we unearth the Alienware x17 in its brandy new shrink wrap. Let's get that unwrapped. Set that aside. Nice. Open, says me. Pull aside the protective keyboard cover, and she lives. Booting up as soon as I opened it. We have liftoff. And moving right along quickly to the rest of the unboxing experience, here is the 330 watt power brick that goes with this machine. Dell also has a 240 watt option, but this is relatively svelte for 330 watts. Not that heavy either. And yeah, we've got the rest of the cordage here to go with it. And that kind of wraps it up for the unboxing. Let's fire up this machine and see what it can do. But first, let's take you on a nickel tour of the machine. This is the Lunar Light color for Dell's Legend 2.0 industrial design language. It is the only color option available for this machine. And as you can see, really nice white matte finish with high endurance clear coat, supposedly resists fingerprints and smudging, and I would have to agree with that. Looking real good. Obviously, we're treated to the usual swank Alienware RGB lighting here with the light piping around the back I/O panel and in the Alienware logo on the lid. On the back I/O panel, by the way, you've got a number of port options. 2 USB-A 3.2 Gen 1 ports with power share, a Type-C USB 3.2 Gen 2 port with power delivery as well, a Type-C Thunderbolt 4, USB 4 40 gigabits per second port, a micro SD card slot, HDMI 2.1, mini display port, and an RJ45 killer Ethernet 2.5 gig multi-gig Ethernet port. However, there are only 2 ports on either edge of the machine, a power barrel connector port on the left edge and a global headset jack on the right edge, as well as some of the usual venting for the cooling system. So literally all of your I/O ports, for the most part, with the exception of the headphone jack, reside on the rear of the machine. The keyboard deck of the X17 is what I would call a full-featured, spacious affair with really nice honeycomb-style venting on the top here around an illuminated Alienware head logo power button, and some additional venting on either side of the keyboard as well. These are not speaker grills, it's actually venting, and the speakers in this system are actually downward firing on the bottom of the machine with some additional venting as well, but the speakers are downward firing, and so you do get a really nice full sound from this machine. Decent low end, believe it or not, for a notebook audio solution, but it just doesn't get that loud because of the downward firing speaker orientation. However, there are front firing tweeters behind these slits in the front edge of the chassis, so at least highs are not muffled. And hooray for both socketed RAM and dual M2 slots for SSDs, as well as quad fan cooling. Our display option came with a 17.3-inch Full HD 1920 by 1080 360 hertz refresh panel with 1 millisecond response time. So super responsive for fast action gaming. It's also Comfort View Plus low blue light technology enabled, along with NVIDIA G-Sync and Advanced Optimus. It is a matte display, not glossy, but only has 300 nits of brightness. Could be a little bit brighter, though viewing angles are excellent, and actually color saturation and contrast, as you can see, quite a bit of pop as well. And with that 360 hertz refresh rate, definitely up for the gaming challenge. This Alienware x17 R2 is powered by Intel's all-new 12th Gen Alder Lake mobile series processors, and specifically we have a 12th Gen Core i9-12900HK 14-core CPU with 20 threads of processing under the hood here, 24 megs of L3 cache, and a turbo boosts to 5 gigahertz. Also on option is the Core i7-12700H 14-core CPU with a 4.7 max turbo boost frequency. The machine is also backed by a whopping 64 gigs of dual-channel DDR5 4800 megahertz memory and a pair of 1 terabyte NVMe solid-state drives in RAID 0. And pushing the pixels, of course, is NVIDIA's GeForce RTX series GPUs, and we have a GeForce RTX 3080 Ti with 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory under the hood, but also on option are a GeForce RTX 3070 Ti with 8 gigs or a GeForce RTX 3060 with 6 gigs. Needless to say, this machine is dialed for gaming. So what do you say we turbo through a few quick benchmarks to prove that out? Here's a sanity check with Cinebench on that 14-core Core i9 12900HK Alder Lake CPU. And here we're going to shred through 18,865 Cinebench points, which puts this laptop way ahead of every laptop we've tested to date, including the MSI Raider machine you see here as well, that's built on the same 14-core Core i9-12900HK CPU. As you'll see in a little bit, Alienware seems to have focused on CPU performance and power in this machine, while MSI may have leaned a little bit heavier on the GPU. Next, let's pay a visit to Lara Croft in Shadow of the Tomb Raider here at 1080p resolution, the highest image quality preset enabled, and we're going to pull down about 148 frames per second, which puts this machine just behind the MSI Raider, but still a scorching fast frame rate. Next, let's fire up that trusty graphics synthetic benchmark 3D Mark Time Spy. And here you can see we're progressing through the benchmark smooth as silk. As you might imagine, we're going to score 12,316 3D marks in this benchmark, which is pretty darn stout. Finally, let's finish up strong with a little Far Cry 5 dialed in at 1080p ultra settings. As you can see, things are silky smooth here, and we're going to actually clock in at 139 frames per second, which is screaming fast again, but just a hair behind the MSI GE76 Raider that we tested as well, based on the same 14-core Alder Lake CPU as well as the GeForce RTX 3080 Ti GPU. But because of configurable TGPs in these laptops, or total graphics power, it's obvious that Alienware was a little bit more conservative in the tuning of the GPU for the x17 R2. But regardless, great machine, great looking machine. Entry price of $22.99, as tested $4,800. Not cheap, but no matter how you slice it, the Alienware x17 R2 is a seriously powerful gaming laptop, and it looks great doing it. So make sure you stop by hothardware.com for our full review with all the benchmark comparisons in detail. I'm Dave Altavilla for Hot Hardware. Hit thumbs up and subscribe if you would be so kind, so we can notify you on the next one. In the meantime, thanks so much for stopping by.